Hey, it's the Chief. Bonding with Board Games. We're going to be talking about Loot and Run. Loot and Run handles 2 to 6, takes about 20 minutes, and it is light, baby. It is light, push your luck pleasure. Let's go take a look. All right, Loot and Run is a very simple push your luck game. The box is used for your scoreboard. I always discard the cards into this little tomb-looking thing. Everybody picks their color and they keep one of those tokens in front of them as a reminder. The other one goes on the score track. And as you score points, which I'll get to how you do that in a second, you'll go up the track. First person to 35 wins. This deck has 3 different types of colored cards in it. Red, green, and yellow. I won't find a yellow now that I'm looking for one, but trust me, there's yellows in there. You just split the deck in half. You can choose. So you're going to have a choice of always generally 2 different types of cards. The cards also matter because red cards are more likely to have some of these guardians in here, which are guys that are going to possibly hurt you, but they're also more likely to have more treasures. You also have amulets that basically can counter any guardians that you may come across. I'm going to get into how we play in a little bit, but what you're trying to do is collect these little treasures. So this would be a great one with 3 treasures, but you're going to be wanting to collect these treasures and you're going to keep this secret as you play. So on your turn, you can only do 3 things: loot, run, or awaken. And I'm going to walk through these. Since I have no cards in front of me, I must do the loot action. Let's just say I'm going to take this one. I would secretly look at this. So there are no guardians, but I do have a treasure, this cool little like orange vase. I would secretly know that I've done well. There's no monsters there. I'd put this in front of me and my turn is over. It would go to the next person. They would pick a card. I'm not going to show what they would do. They also have to loot because they don't have any treasures in front of them. Comes around to me. Now I could run with this. I could immediately just run and I will score 1 point for having this. I don't have any doubles of it. There's no guardians. There's no amulets. Amulets will counteract guardians. But I'm going to choose to take another card. So I take this red, and you can see I've picked up 2 treasures, and I've got this amulet. What an amulet's going to do again is it's going to cancel a guardian if they were to come in, because guardians will do some nasty things, and I will cover that in a second because that's where it gets really fun. This is just more of a push your luck element. But at any point in time, someone, instead of looting and getting a card or running with their score and scoring them, they could call an awaken. So if this player calls out an awaken on me, I have to flip over my cards. They're hoping that I have some more guardians than I have amulets, because then they will get to do some fancy little actions. If in this case, I would simply score 3 points. So I have 2 of this, 1 of these, I would go in and score. And I've been fortunate and had another card in here. Again, let me get this out of the way. That's just reminding me of my color. And I had something like this. I would have 4 of these orange vases, and they would double for 8. And then I would have 9, 10, and I would move up 10 points on the track. I had an amulet. An amulet gives me the special power of counteracting one of these guys. Had I had this fella in here and flipped it, this amulet would cancel this out. I would still score my treasures, but the guardian wouldn't be a factor. However, had I not had this, and this guardian was in, I would not get to score these, and the different monsters, which you can see are guardians, the mummy, the werewolf, and Frank, have powers that will benefit the player that called out the awaken. So if this was the scenario that happened, there are no amulets to counteract this. The player is going to discard all of these cards into the discard pile. They will not score them. However, Frank's ability is for the player that called out the awaken, that player will get an extra turn. So you can kind of see this here, and they've got a little helpful reminder as well. So that means the awaken, he called it, he's going to get to take an extra turn. He could draw a card, he could call an awaken on another player, he could simply run himself and try to score. Let me find, had he had a mummy instead of Frank, he would have scored. So he calls the Awaken, and he gets to score the points instead of this player. So you don't want to get trapped with the Mummy, although it'd be great for this opponent. He just scored a ton. And the Werewolf, had the Werewolf been there, then the player that called the Awaken would have the choice of drawing one card from each pile. Then they have the option of keeping or discarding them. In this case, they'd want to keep both of those. Of course, these would be secret, and they would come down into their loot area. And that's it. So the game keeps going around. You always have the option of looting, drawing more cards in, running and scoring, or calling an Awaken on another player at the game. Games roll through really fast. It's got that nice cartoony feel. Some decision making is definitely there. You're hoping that you're picking up amulets instead of these little fellas, because you know these amulets are like your insurance and can cancel out some of those guardians. So you've got this nice push your luck element. Do you loot? Do you run? Do you call an Awaken? And if you call an Awaken, the randomness is what are you going to get? So you are playing a little bit kind of like you're bluffing your other players at the table and just saying, hey, here we go. So it's a light, fast, fun game. All right, thoughts on loot and run. First of all, I'm going to make a confession. In my house, we call it loot and scoot. Okay. I know it's loot and run. Scoot is just like, get out of there, scoot, get. And we like the rhyming aspect, so I'll be like, well, let's play some loot and scoot. And my 9-year-old uses his dad, it's loot and run. Here's the deal, I love it as a family game. It could actually be great as a filler as well, but I don't know if it would hit that for me on the filler side of it. So, I mean, for some it'd be great. For my house, it was a primer for that push your luck mechanism. The boy's drawn in, he's pushing his luck, he's looking, he knows, well, do I have too many guardians? If they call out an Awaken, I'm going to lose it. And then the idea that a Mummy scores me, I've got to remember, what is it, the Werewolf, you draw 2 cards, and old Frankie, you get to take another turn, I think, or maybe I got Werewolf and Frankie turned around. I like that aspect because not only are you looking at going, man, I got to run, I got to scoot, because if anybody calls an Awaken, they're going to score the points and they're going to be drawing 2 more cards. Whoa. So, and they're going to get to take another turn. You can just hand the whole game over. So the push your luck element isn't just, oh, they're going to call an Awaken because I've gotten so much treasure cards in front of me. It's, do I have amulets that will counteract? And what monsters are sitting here? If you're sitting on 3 mummies, well, they're going to, that's really not much worse. Okay, they're going to score the points, but they're just going to score the points. They're not going to get to redo the turn and draw more cards into their own hand. So I love the layers of push your luck that are in there. It works on that, the cartoonish theme, so it's not overly scary. That does matter for some kids, although my youngest, Seth, handles even kind of scarier stuff than this fine. So for me, sits solid in that push your luck genre, a little bit of twist to it. I also don't call them guardians in our house. We call them monsters. We just say monsters, the monsters are awakening, and I call it loot and scoot. That's it. I like it. It sits very nicely on that side. This could have been one of those white boxes too, by the way, that would have lined up very nicely. Although, I'm a sucker for magnets. I'm a sucker for magnets until I open it while I'm holding it on its side. So it's the Chief, bonding with board games. Game it!